Boobity-boo, boobity-boo, check, check, check. Oh, okay. I know what you're thinking, Keller, not enough atmosphere. I see a lot of comments that come in all the time where people ask questions. I do read everyone's comments. I'm just terrible at engaging them, which is like step one for anytime you look up like how to grow your channel. They're like, be sure to engage with your commenters. And I don't do that at all. So I made a list of some top comments that I've seen recently. So these are in no particular order. I think they go from oldest to newest back to oldest again based on not being able to find more of them. The first comment is, why is this channel not being pushed by the algorithm? I don't know. The second question is, what happened to the blackened toenail? Great question. So maybe you have noticed in one of my more recent videos, wait, which foot is it on? I think it's on this foot. There it is. So that is actually something from an injury, well, not an injury, but it was from running maybe in December, early and mid-December. I got that from a set of spikes that I put over my shoe, and there's a little brace bar that goes over the top of your toenail. And it just got in a weird spot where my toe was just kind of pushing against it while I was running. And so now it's blackened. Good news is it probably take about a year to heal fully. So it's gross, but there's nothing I can do about it. Update on the car battery. That was what several people have been commenting about. A lot of people have really been engaged with this car battery thing. A lot of car people out there. The short of where it's at now, I think I expressed they put a quote unquote good battery into the car. I'm actually starting to buy that might be the case. Never in my life have I heard that Walmart are bad batteries, but it does seem like there's somewhat of a luck of the draw because there's obviously a large population of people who do find Walmart batteries to be bad and do find that it's worth it to spend money on good batteries. And I gotta say, as of recently, while I haven't made a definitive decision or, you know, no definitive thought has happened, as of now, there seems to be some truth to that maybe you should be buying more expensive car batteries. Now, I actually don't know how expensive this car battery is in this car. The shop put it in. I'm supposed to drive it around, go back, pay for it. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be back to taking a risk with the cheap car batteries. Who knows? Scott recently asked on the school video, what group is the easiest to talk to? What age group is the easiest to talk to? So I've talked to high schoolers, I've talked to middle schoolers, and then this would have been the youngest group that I've talked to, which was first and second graders, although I think some of them might have been third, but regardless, honestly, the most disengaged group is high schoolers. And the reason I think that is, like, the most disengaged group that I've ever talked to was actually a group of high schoolers that were at a sort of vocational school who they were all going into media and graphic design, and they were probably the least visually engaged and had the least amount of follow-up questions and things to respond to. And I don't blame that necessarily on their actual intrinsic interest. I get the feeling that it's just high schoolers are a little self-conscious to like raise their hand and be enthusiastic about anything. So I don't hold that against them. But the fun thing about those career days that I'm always happy to volunteer for is because usually they're coming from presentations that are like OSHA or Comcast. And so when they come into a room with someone who's like a YouTuber and starts talking about Mr. Beast and making movies, you just get a little bit more, it makes you look more fun than you really are just because of what you're up against in terms of comparison. Do you have AMC A-List? How do you go to the movies so often? That's a great question. We have 2 children and we see movies pretty close to once a week, I'd say on average. And I don't know, we're just really blessed to have lots of grandparents in our life who are more than willing to watch the children. And going to the movies is something that Samantha and I really share as a shared enjoyed activity. We also like to go out to eat a lot. So going to places like Chunky's where we can go out to eat and see a movie is really our favorite activity, although Chunky's has been slipping up real bad lately, so we haven't been going there as much. But yeah, we like to go to the movies. That's just our thing, and we try to do it as often as possible, and we are really blessed to have that opportunity because I know there are a lot of parents who do not get as many nights out to themselves or days out to themselves as we do. What percentage of your coworkers know about your YouTube channel? Actually, that's a hard question to answer because I think a lot of people know about it. I am not ashamed to tell people about it. Obviously, it is like one of the first things I talk about in any job interview or any gig opportunity, just because it is such a great bumper sticker. It makes me stand out. It gives me a really good jumping off point to demonstrate my experience and knowledge in a really unique way, so people become really engaged in that. So I tell people that. Now, once I have the job or have the gig or have that connection, I really don't like to mix worlds for a couple reasons. One, I just don't ever want to get myself in a position where I am even remotely seeming like I'm representing a company or an organization in these videos, unless that is the explicit relationship. Yeah, I don't know. I like to speak very freely on here. I have a lot of really harsh opinions. Sometimes I'm saying some things that are controversial, nothing that like I would be ashamed of someone seeing, but you know, having a professional life and a personal life are always good things to separate. And these daily videos, because I do them so often and they're so embedded in my life, it's really difficult for me to separate that. So sometimes I just come off maybe a little less professional. So I don't usually try to advertise that to all of my coworkers. But as of recently, I feel like more coworkers have become aware and are watching, I believe. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind it at all. But yeah, it's not like something I'm trying to advertise to the people that I work for, because my professional work and this channel are very different in my mind in terms of everything. How do you like your running vest? Does it bother you at all? So, man, I used to be the biggest hater of running vests. I thought they were so dorky. I did the typical thing of like, you know, how much water do you need for a 4-mile run? But then I started using one and it changed my life. And there's really two main factors for that. One, and probably first and foremost, is my nipples chafe like crazy when I run. This is no secret. I've discussed this many times on a channel. Previously, I ran with a GoPro chest mount because I could get daily content by having a chest mount on me, but also because that strapping system would hold my shirt in place and reduce my nipple chafing to 0. But that really was replaced by the discovery of sports bras. I took one of Sam's old sports bras and put it on. That changed my life. So then I was using her old sports bras for a long time underneath my shirts, and I still use those from time to time. But the vest is sort of the best of both worlds, because it's not a sports bra, which can be a pain to take on and off. It's another piece of clothing that you have to wash regularly. But the vest just goes right over because it's meshed and tight. It keeps the nipple chafing from happening. But additionally, what's super fun about them is that I can stuff my phone, my water, some snacks, and cameras. That's what's super fun, because I can take my 360 camera and my GoPro and my phone, and maybe on some special occasions take the drone with me. And before the running vest, that was just not an option. So I use the running vest pretty much for any run, unless it is like under 3 miles, because at that point the nipple chafing isn't as much of a concern. But anytime I'm running, I'm wearing that vest. So I love them. I love it. It does not bother me. One thing that does bother me a little bit in the summer is when it can rub on my neck a little bit. I've seen runners put a piece of tape right there. It's never bothered me to that extent, you know, where I've had a rash or anything, but sometimes it does get a little, I don't know, irritating on the neck, but that's pretty minor. Does making these videos get in the way of your personal life, like taking care of your family and stuff? I mean, you ask my family, but I think not at all. In fact, I think it's kind of the contrary. I think having a family obviously gets in the way of what I'm able to do with this channel, but I'm not mad about that. I prefer it that way. You know, and I try to incorporate them into the videos where I feel it's most appropriate. I really have a distaste for family vlogging and involving your kids in like high levels of content. So, you know, it seems very obvious, like it seems like an obvious answer to film my children and my family every day, but I try not to do that unless it just seems really natural in the moment. And a lot of times when I'm uploading like a really simple video, like something off my cell phone, it's usually because we're on vacation or we're doing something, and I'm trying to be in the moment with my family and not be like, okay kids, I know this is supposed to be a fun night, but daddy's got to edit. I try to avoid that, and it's never really been too much of an issue. But that being said, who knows what they secretly think. Do you have a part 107? No, I don't. How come you don't have more subscribers? That's because most likely, statistically speaking, you watching this video have not subscribed, so you can change that. You have the power, your vote matters. What state are you from? It looks like New Hampshire. I actually live in New Mexico.